Today I'm going to show you how to improve your building skills in Minecraft with some underused techniques. I'll be experimenting with building techniques I've never used before, so stay tuned to figure out how you can make your Minecraft world feel much more lived in, and to see how that goes for me. My name is Pineapple Man, but you can call me Penny, and thank you for joining me in episode 4 of my survival series. And so I'm not going to waste any more time, and we're going to go ahead and get into the build and some of my helpful building tips. Today I'll be making the central hub for my mega base, the Science Plaza, that I introduced last episode. This hub will be called the Origin and will serve as a centralized transportation and storage area for our base. And I must say, it turned out really nice. This episode took me a ton of time to record, so it'll be time-lapse heavy, but don't worry, I'll keep us company with voiceovers to help you with building tips and explain my building process. Right now, I'm just getting the main structure in place. Also stay tuned to see how I obtained MS Paint in survival, and how you guys can help me in the comments. So I've condensed my 6 main building tips into an acronym I like to call the IWADOC methods. The I stands for inspiration. Basically, you should find a Minecraft, concept art, or real-world image to help conceive your project. It can be really easy to add elements that don't fit your build, and having an inspiration image can help you keep your focus. This will also help with the subsequent steps. The W stands for world building. Gradients and block variation that you choose should be consistent and make sense. Essentially, you're going to want to give yourself a set of rules to follow. For me, you saw me applying some darker gray below the yellow ring at the top of the support structure. This is supposed to be like grime, and it follows a pattern that tries to emulate this. In the context of this build, this is a ruined laboratory, so you'll see me go in with moss and mossy cobble to apply patches of organics which have sort of consumed the build. And the A stands for asymmetry. Asymmetry is a great way to add variation to the structure itself, and can be used to take the eye off boring or uninteresting parts of the build. If you use it liberally, you can create a very organic look. The D stands for dynamics. Campfires, spore blossoms, using redstone, these are all ways to introduce movement into the build and make it feel a little bit more lived in. Take advantage of animated textures like prismarine, sea lanterns, magma, and bubble columns for some free dynamic detail. And don't be afraid to use entities like armor stands, boats, minecarts, animals, and golems for some more movement. The O stands for organics. If you're going to include organic material in your builds, make choices that either mirror the real world or match whatever style you're trying to match. Since I'm going for a ruined laboratory that's been taken over by nature, I had to utilize this in certain cases to make sure the placement of my grass, moss, vines, and other things seemed natural to what we would expect in the real world and in Minecraft. This helps a ton in making your build feel more realistic. And my final method is simply connections. The worst thing you could do for a build is not connect it to your other builds in some way. You can use paths, rails, or in our case, flying machines, to connect your structures or builds together. And this can make your world feel much more complete, so hopefully you'll take some of my IWADOC methods into your practice and improve your building along the way. Let me know if any of these tips helped you, and if you wouldn't mind subscribing, that would be awesome. Okay, well I hope you enjoyed that time lapse and some of my building tips. I have spent a ton of time on resource collection for this build and the build itself, so I definitely need a little bit of a break, but let's go take a look at all the angles here. Yeah, I really like how it turned out. Obviously, I've got 0, 0 on the side since it's called the origin. Um, and to that point, it is going to be the central hub for the Science Plaza, and it's going to either branch to other builds, like it does here with the flying machine to the wood farm, or it will flying machine over to um, sort of like little hubs that then branch to new builds. So the Science Plaza will sort of have a theme, but I do want this area just to be kind of fun. I hope you like the tree build up there. I went for kind of a more organic and Minecrafty tree build to kind of match the organic Minecraft trees we have growing here and then on the wood farm. Anyways, so I'm gonna go ahead and show a few clips of the Froglight farm because obviously we have a ton of Froglights now. And so I threw a simple Froglight farm together with a golem luring chamber in the center. If you're unaware, when a frog kills a small magma, they drop a Froglight, and the color of the Froglight depends on the color of the frog. There are 3 colors of frogs that are based on the biome that the tadpole grows up in or the frog spawns in: temperate, cold, and warm. And honestly, the frog collection and transportation took longer than building the farm. You should build one of these. Back in time a little bit, while I was waiting for my little froggy boys to grow up, I took a trip to the ancient city that's right below the village. My main goal was to just find a Swift Sneak 3 book and then get out. I opted to just take off all my gear so there was no risk in dying. I was pretty sure I was gonna die, but I managed to find a Swift Sneak 3 book on my 3rd or 4th chest without even summoning a warden. Epic. Okay, we got the big build out of the way, and I'm ready to take a break with today's science. Right, so today's science kind of deals with maps. So I've got some empty maps here, and we're near spawn because I wanted access to an ocean. So I'm flying over now to a section that I can kind of destroy. This science is definitely less of a science experiment and more of a social experiment. That's okay though, because science is whatever you want it to be. And I wanted to start by seeing how quickly I could build a full map. So I've done map art before, and it's definitely not one of my strong suits, but I started by marking out the border of the map. If you're unaware, a map at scaling level 1 will be 128 by 128 blocks, and these will always occur at chunk borders. You can hit F3 and G to show off your chunk borders. So I made a border out of dirt and then spruce slabs that were waterlogged. This was so I could tell what was the border of the map. I opted to use lava to cast the water into stone. I feel that this saved a ton of time, but I can't be too sure because I never actually tested just placing every block. However, the total process did take just under 2 hours, which I found pretty impressive. It was a bit of a rough start, but I found my rhythm when I just had 9 lava buckets in my hotbar slots. I would just cycle them as quick as possible. And hopefully you enjoy the rest of the time lapse, especially the part where this gets completely covered in snow. And so I took this opportunity to lock this map in its current state, as it's a completely white map and it's just kind of a cool artifact. If you use a glass pane in a cartography table, you can lock a map to where it will no longer change. Speaking of change, this happened. Finally, MS Paint. Yeah, so I hope you like this little MS Paint UI. Obviously it's not perfect, I had to make some compromises, but I really like how it turned out, and I think it's kind of funny. So like I said, not every science experiment is going to be explicitly science. It might be a cool contraption, or a weird way of doing things, or some research that supplements a build that we really need. But anyways, the main social experiment with this is, what should I put on this? I want you guys to suggest things to put on this. It could be anything. It could be something from Minecraft, your favorite Pokemon, Dijon mustard, a Fortnite burger. What do you think we should put on it? So I'd like to make this a bit of a tradition where every episode I add a new item to this map board. It's gonna end up looking like stickers on the back of a laptop screen or something. Oh, we got some visitors back there. Anyways, please drop your art suggestions in the comments and I'll pick one for next episode. And if I don't get any, I will choose one of my own. Well, I do think that's all I've got time for today. Hopefully this episode showed you some building techniques that you can use to improve your world. And if you made it this far, it means a lot to me, and if you wouldn't mind subscribing, it's free and it increases my serotonin levels. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode's science, and please don't forget to leave your science suggestions in the comments. If I pick yours, we'll make a segment out of it and I'll give you a shout out. What would you like me to put on our MS Paint canvas for next episode? It can be pretty much anything. Go ahead and share this video with your friends if you think they'll like it. And stay tuned, because next episode, we'll be building one of the most feared farms. But it'll be easy. It is the Shulker farm, and I'll see you there.